got a confession to make. I have a ton of friends who make guitar YouTube videos. I love the culture, I love the sounds, I love the gear, and I don't watch any of them. They're boring. Wah! No, but really, the videos I watch the most are videos on how to make videos. Years ago while I was working in the music store, I learned that if you want to sound good, you gotta look good. Bands would come in to rent their sound for a big gig of theirs, and lighting was always the last thing on their minds. And that's the differentiator between a great concert and a mediocre one. You've probably heard this saying before, and it's 100% true. People hear with their eyes. I'm deep into the camera and video world because I want to make better videos. I want to make something that's not only entertaining, but also visually appealing. Because if you don't do that, you have a higher likelihood of losing the attention of whoever is watching. So here are some top level things to make better videos. And before I lose some of you knuckle dragging guitarists, I can say that because I am one. This is applicable to anyone. And in this day and age, I'm telling you, it's applicable to everyone. I have no idea the basis of this stat, but I'm willing to bet that at least 90% of musicians and creators are discovered via the internet. If you want people to watch your videos of playing Hotel California on your guitar, or any type of creator, if you want people looking you up or seeing you on a social feed, baby, you gotta look good. God, I need a haircut. And like playing an instrument, it's not about the gear you need to buy. But I know that's a big thing on people's minds, so stick around and I'll give you a suggestion of what type of camera to get and other tools that will make your videos look better.
So there's two goals you want to achieve when you're lighting a scene, as they call it in the business.
Whoa! You want it to look like real life, but you want it to look like the best real life. Cameras are not often very flattering. You want to shape the light in a way that makes it look good to the viewer. Oh, keeping in mind, we're all used to seeing professional. I am not a professional. So keeping in mind that we're all used to seeing professional movies and television. And there's a very specific way movies and television make it look real, so that it looks normal to us, when in fact it's a whole bunch of Hollywood fakery.
So goal number 1 is to have it look real. Goal number 2 is to draw your audience's eyes to the subject in frame. You want them to pop from the background.
Okay, so take a really simple approach from the start and fire up your camera. And then use a broom to turn off all the lights in your room. Ooh, spooky. So take one source of light, ooh, and move it around until you find the most flattering angle of yourself. Oh wow, so handsome. This is your main light source. This is called your key light. Generally speaking, ceiling lights don't have a very flattering look, so try to turn those off. When in doubt, try from a 45-degree angle. It gives you a nice svelte look. Ta-da! Wow, so nice. If you want some extra pop from the background, place the light behind you so that it creates a rim around you. Sometimes they call this a rim light if it's pointed at your little hairsies. Sometimes there's a hair light involved. Do stuff to make it pop from the background. Oh. There's a ton to go into with lighting. For now, just experiment with different types of lights in different locations of your room. Watch other people's videos that have a look that you like. Once you get good at it, you can tell where the light source seems to come from. And last but not least, if you're filming a guitar video, make sure you grab the best guitar in the world and plug in to the best amp in the world. Yeah! Human beings have very short attention spans, especially when they're on their phone. To keep their attention, start with an interesting main shot, try to keep yourself away from a wall, and try to place things at different distances from the camera so that it introduces depth to your shot. Then, you want to have multiple camera angles. You don't want to hang on the same shot for too long. I know it seems like extra work, but people crave new information to work with, and once they've downloaded the information in the shot, they want more, they crave more. And remember, you're the director of your own film. You want to direct your viewers' eyes to what you want them to see. So for example, if you're playing guitar, get a wide shot to establish your scene, then cut into the details your viewer wants to know. Get some shots of your picking hand, your fretting hand, anything and anywhere interesting. Shooting from below can make yourself look cool. Shooting from above can look cool too if you have a good stand to hold that camera so it doesn't fall on your little noggin. And here's a hot tip, time your cuts with the music. Cutting on the beat instantly makes it feel more intentional rather than cutting to different shots randomly.
It's all bad, and I know that. I hear you calling for me out in the night, but it's all bad, and I know that.
Experiment with it. Once you get into the compositional elements of making videos, you'll start noticing things in movies and TV and getting inspired. And remember, less is more. Complicated camera movements seem cool, but often they can be distracting for the viewer, and they are immensely harder when you're by yourself. If your shot isn't interesting when your camera is not moving, spending thousands on an automated slider gimbal thing is not necessarily going to make it more interesting. And unless you're George Lucas, lay off the crazy transitions. Hard cuts are the standard for a reason. No! So camera gear is just like guitar gear. There are diminishing returns everywhere, and better gear won't necessarily net you better results. But there is some basic gear I recommend if you want to up your game. For a camera, your phone is likely good enough. You'll often get people suggesting it's a good way to get started, and they're totally right. As a creative, I kind of like to have specific tools for specific jobs, and often things like notes are on my phone and memes. But yes, your phone is likely good enough for most applications. Getting a camera will let you have more control over how the shot looks, and it'll help you get to know the effects of different ISO, shutter speed, focal length, and with a larger sensor and lens than your phone has, you can get that background blur that everyone covets so much. Bokeh! Choosing your first camera can be a little overwhelming. I suggest getting an interchangeable lens camera that has a flip screen that flips forward since you're probably filming by yourself. Get something basic from Sony, Canon, or any reputable camera brand. And to get started, get what they call the kit lens. This is the basic zoom lens that is 99% good enough for everything you're gonna do, trust me. Don't get too caught up with buying lenses for a while. Buying lenses can get really expensive, and if you don't know why you need it, you're probably not automatically gonna get better results. For lighting, you can essentially use any light source, like filming near a window with natural light, but your job will be made easier if you can buy a purpose-built camera light. These can accurately be tuned to 5500 Kelvin, which is referred to as daylight, and it'll make white balancing way easier when all your lights are a consistent Kelvin rating. Adding a softbox like an Aputure Lightdome softens the shadows so they're not as hard. A softbox is essentially making your light source bigger, and the bigger the light source, the softer your shadows. If you look at my past videos, it's pretty obvious when I switched to a light dome setup. Damn, I feel like I'm in a porno. Oh, hi. An important part of great video is great audio. If you're a musician, you're probably a little bit more familiar with recording instruments. Get a decent interface, mic your instrument, and away you go. It's a lot more subjective. If it sounds good to you, it's good, baby. If you're speaking in your video, it's a bit different. Your voice needs to sound good and match the expectations of the viewer. People disengage very quickly if they can't clearly understand what you're saying or trying to explain. For voice microphones, my best advice is whatever you're using, try to get it close to your little face hole here. This little guy. This will pick up less of the room and any extraneous noises like chair squeaks and whatnot, and it'll make you sound more present. If you move around a lot like me, a lavalier microphone is a great choice, and there's some great systems from Rode and other brands that are insanely good and super cool and convenient. Neat! You can add a shotgun microphone. These are super directional microphones that you aim at your source, so make sure you stay in its cool guy zone. You can also use a dynamic microphone. You'll see people using these podcast microphones a lot. They sound great, they just need to be real close to your face hole, so depending on what you're after, it may work, it may not. Depending on your use case, I rarely recommend using large diaphragm condenser microphones. They pick up everything like breathing and little chair squeaks and the echo of the room. And for similar reasons, camera mounted microphones are very handy, but they're not always ideal. If your camera is very far away from you, your microphone will be far back as well. And the farther back your microphone is, the farther back it will sound, and you'll lose that commanding presence of your voice. I do always have a microphone attached to my camera as a backup because I'm a dingle and I make a lot of mistakes. That's how I learn.
Cats are better companions than dogs. The best concert I've ever been to was Kiss. The Ewoks made Return of the Jedi better, not worse. The most unlikable villain of all time is Billy Zane's character from Titanic.
I'll link what I'm using at this moment in the description, and if you have any specific questions, ask away. Click, 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 boom. There's a lot to making something look good on camera. As you get deeper, you can see why film productions have tons of staff and very specific roles for each type of thing. But with some creativity and forethought, you can pretty easily and cheaply up your video game. Upping your video quality will get you more views, more subscribes, or whatever it is you value in this crazy ride we're on together. If you want me to dive deeper into any of these specific topics, please let me know. I'd really love to do more content like this, so shippy-tippy-doo down in the comments, please. Plus, if these videos do well, I can get sponsorships from camera brands because that stuff is really expensive, as we've just discussed. But for real, I love talking about this stuff, so let's leave it at that. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Click. What did it? What did the baby papa bully? Hi. Hi, little boo 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 boo. Tell them to buy a camera. Tell them to buy a camera.